That was crazy, wasn't it? I mean, we are so used as wrestling fans for a go-home show to plant a little seed here and plant a little seed there for the pay-per-view. But last night, AEW just went, you want a go-home show? No, we're going to pull out a bomb and we're going to have it explode right in front of your face. Which is what they did. So we are going to get into it. Also, thank you very much for voting in this week's Retro Ups and Downs poll. You chose WrestleMania 30, I think mostly because I guessed that it was the last pay-per-view where I had hair. And if you did choose it, thinking I'm going to turn up on the show tomorrow with hair, boy, do you have a big surprise coming. But for now, my name is Simon Miller, I am bald, welcome to WhatCulture Wrestling, and let's up those downs for not just AEW Dynamite, but AEW Dynamite Crossroads. What a great opening match we had. Cody teaming up with Red Velvet to take on Shaquille O'Neil and Jade Cargill, and all the ridiculousness we had beforehand. I don't even have to think about it. It is getting it up. Shaq was basically just a monster here and clearly having the time of his life, and Cody for some reason thought it would be a great idea to try and tie him up with a wrist lock, so Shaq just pushed him off, walked up to him in the corner and went, and that's basically the noise that he created on Cody Rhodes' chest. Sheesh. I mean, that could have been a finisher in a Mortal Kombat game. If Shaq had just gone finish him beforehand, I wouldn't have been surprised. And also, he gave Cody Rhodes a powerbomb. What kind of reality are we living in? Shaquille O'Neil, the basketball legend, is powerbombing Cody Rhodes. I love it. I honestly thought Cody may fall through the ring at one point, but when he was back to his feet and he was slamming Shaq, I just looked around to nobody because there's nobody here, and I was like, man, I am just having a good time, because I was having a really good time. And it was exactly the same for Jade Cargill and Red Velvet too, especially Red Velvet. My word, she has just proven that she is ready for some kind of super duper mega push to the moon. But also, when we turn our attentions to Jade, all this meanness I saw online beforehand, oh, it's a fast, well, you all better get a sock and stick it in your mouth, because there was no need for it. Because for a first match, this was ridiculous. Hell, it would have been pretty damn good for any kind of a match. Because as we now learned, Jade Cargill is basically part video game character and part Scott Steiner. Because she will do a power move, and then she will pose, and then she will do a power move, and then she will pose, and I was 100% here for it. Also, it does look like she could kill you. Austin Gunn also lost his mind at one point and hit Shaquille O'Neil with a chair, and that was the equivalent of kissing your grandmother. Now that doesn't work, kissing somebody else's grandmother. No, that doesn't work either. The point was, it did not hurt Shaq at all, and then he was just throwing people around like they were darts. He was really mad. And it was pretty much this kind of mayhem from start to finish, but the absolute highlight was when two tables had been set up on the outside, Shaq was on the apron, and Cody Rhodes dove at him, and both guys went crashing through the wood. So just to keep you up to date, again, Shaquille O'Neil, basketball legend, being put through tables on a wrestling show. I don't even know anymore, man. What the hell are we all gonna do? It left it all down to Red and Jade back in the ring, and while it was a little bit of a shame that we didn't see Red Velvet spear, which led for an awesome near fall, it didn't matter anyway, because again, that wasn't the finish. Instead, Jade grabbed her, gave her one of those wheelbarrow facebuster thingamajigs that always looks good, and yes, in her first ever match, she is now 1-0. I honestly love this. I know I've said that once, I will say it twice, and I always enjoy seeing Shaq. I forget how tall he is, and he made everybody else look like children just running around going, Shaq, Shaq, you're the best. And he sold this big too. He was wheeled out of there in a gurney, and he was put in an ambulance, a local medical facility wagon, and taken to a nearby local medical facility, also known as a hospital. Although that's what I should be saying, but that's not what happened. Because when Tony Schiavone went to interview Shaq in the ambulance, which was a little bit like, Tony, I don't think this is the right place or the right time, Shaquille O'Neil had just vanished. So I shouted out, oh my gosh, it's the Fiend! Then realized I was watching the wrong television show, but the forbidden door is open. Yeah, right, that's never gonna happen. But honestly, where the hell did Shaq go? And we never found out either, so I suppose this must be leading to something, or maybe he was called back to his home planet, so that's where he had to go. I don't even care. This is one of the most entertaining things you could ever expect to see at the start of the wrestling show, and while it means nothing, I am giving it a Simon Miller round of applause. pointless. And then we had a squash match. I mean, I know it's a rarity in AEW, but going from this opener to PAC and Fenix just going at 852 miles an hour for around about 2 minutes, it was kind of exhausting. I felt like I needed to lay down, but up. That's exactly why it was so damn entertaining. I mean, they were taking on John Skyler and D3, and it just went move, 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 450 spinny thing, Tiger Driver, 1, 2, 3, done. It also means that these guys are now in the Tag Team Casino Battle Royal at the Revelation pay-per-view, and they just have to win. No ifs, no buts. Hell, if the Young Bucks want to come out and go, we just saw what you did, here's the championships, I will support it. I think I may be in love with PAC and Rey Fenix. The Inner Circle press conference was next, and if you are trying to keep score, this is how it went. So, firstly, we had a match that was super duper fun and designed to try and get new fans in. Then we had a wrestling clinic by 2 excellent professional wrestlers, and dare I say it, in segment 3, we were having a little bit of sports entertainment. So I think it's fair to say that AEW has embraced all sides of professional wrestling, and for me, that's a tick, is getting it up. They were, of course, being interviewed by the media here, and while we did have some tech issues to begin with, because somebody asked a question and you couldn't hear what they asked, all you really need to know is that Eric Bischoff was back on Dynamite, but so was Mr. Podcast Man himself, Conrad Thompson. And what an ascendancy that dude has had. Either way, Jericho started talking about how great he was and how Maxwell Jacob Friedman was the best partner he's ever had in his life. And then there was a slight error because somebody decided to say, hey, could Sammy Guevara ever be welcomed back into the Inner Circle? So MJF took the microphone, he looked at Conrad Thompson and he said, why don't you shut up? Turkey tits. So that's it. We can never go back from this now. And a professional wrestling show, somebody has called somebody else Turkey tits. He was then booted out of the fold as they were also questioned, why the hell did you attack the Young Bucks' dad last week? And their amazing answer was that it was self-defense. I know I shouldn't laugh at these things. When you take it in context, it was very funny. Santana then jumped in and made it very clear that there's no line the Inner Circle won't cross before it was Bischoff's turn, and he was like, Jericho, are you a flipping goofball? Why the hell would you have done this? You have now made it really personal. You have given all the fuel to the fire. When it comes to the Young Bucks, they're probably going to whip your ass. He certainly wasn't wrong either, and this was the cue for Matt and Nick Jackson to come out, and I really enjoyed their promo here. I mean, given that they had to sell the fact that their dad had almost been killed, well, they did a great job, and you could see the emotion in their eyes. They also started to take shots at MJF and Jericho and said that Maxwell would be nowhere without All Elite Wrestling, and if it wasn't for the company they had built, Chris Jericho would probably be on the opening match in the Performance Center. And I know, it's a shot at WWE, but it was a pretty good one. Man, Nick didn't wait around any longer after that, and they started busting out super kicks before everybody was here, and we were just having a massive brawl. And it ended with Santana and Ortiz on tables, and Nick Jackson jumped off the entranceway onto one, and Matt Jackson jumped off the rampway onto another. I mean, that was pretty crazy stuff. This has just been such a simple build though, and it's all the better for it. Like, 2 of these guys are absolute dicks. The other 2 are just fighting for their family. I can get behind that, and I can just enjoy it for what it is. And I'm intrigued to see what's gonna happen. But yes, as we have mentioned over the last few weeks, and as you tell me all the time on Twitter, I get it, I can hear you, I can see you, I've got eyes and I've got ears. A lot of AEW matches or segments do end with post-match brawls. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't mind this. It's like pizza. Hey, Simon, we've got you pizza for breakfast. Awesome. Then meal 2 comes along. Oh, it's pizza again. Just keep giving me pizza until I'm dead. But it is fun to have counters. We got a bunch on WWE, so why not introduce one here on AEW? So there it is. It is the post-match brawl bar, and right now it's up to 1. Before the end of the night, it'll be up to 2, and we shall start documenting how many post-match brawls we have on AEW. I'm going to regret this by next week, because it's so hard to keep up to date with this kind of stuff. You should see my wrestling spreadsheet. What a massive geek I am. We then just had such a great video from AEW. Ever since they announced the barbed wire exploding death match, I've kind of been like, you need some kind of promo package to explain to people who may not be aware of this what it is. And not only did they go out their way to do that, they even had flippin' Onita here saying, yeah, man, these kind of things, they're pretty crazy. I'm really scared, you're really scared, everyone be scared. So it's just highlighting how brutal these things have been and how brutal the one at Revolution is going to be. And I am absolutely bewildered about all of this. What the hell are Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega going to do? Especially because Mox keeps saying things like, well, if this is the end of my career and I have to go away, so be it. And he does often speak the truth. I couldn't be more fascinated if I humanly tried. Watch. still the same. We then got all the proof that we needed that this was the most ridiculous go-home wrestling show potentially in history. Because not only was it Tully Blanchard teaming with FTR to take on the Jurassic Express, but FTR and Tully were joined by none other than the leader of the Four Horsemen, J.J. Dillon. What else am I going to do? So we were just playing on nostalgia here, especially because Tully came out with his old silver NWA US Championship, which he's always claimed he never lost. And after Tully actually got involved a little bit, who did it break down to? Of course, it was Jungle Boy versus Dax Harwood. I always like a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and a callback. Jungle Boy also continued on his journey from Jungle Boy to Jungle Man because he was just on fire here. Like, even when he got dragged out of the ring because FTR were being a bunch of assholes, he was still kicking ass. This boy, man, dude, thing, whatever the hell we're going to call him, he is going to be such a big star down the line. It also turned out that after all these years, J.J. Dillon is still a massive asshat because he gave his shoe to Harwood, who just clonked Jungle Boy right in the face. Now, this only resulted in a near fall, but this is what I want in my life. I want one wrestling match at some point before I'm in the grave to end thanks to interference by shoe. I don't even know what the right term would be. I want a shoe to win a wrestling match. Thank you very much. Blanchard pretended he was going to do a dive at one point, and can you imagine, I think I would have collapsed on the floor. And you could tell that we were just waiting and we were building to the hot tag for Luchasaurus. And he got it, and that dino ran wild. He threw Marco into Tully, which I always appreciated. Human beings as projectiles is just a lot of fun, and if he hadn't have missed his spear and gone colliding into the ring post, I actually think he may have won it. And just to double down on this, Blanchard was getting involved too. I mean, he was giving Marco Stunt a bunch of suplexes before he came face to face with Luchasaurus. And for the second time during the show, I was like, what reality are we in? How is this even happening? Who the hell am I? And then, man, the finish, who the hell saw this coming and talk about playing the long game? Because Jungle Boy went for a dive on the outside of the ring and collided with a cameraman, and for around about 6.2 seconds, you're like, oh my gosh, maybe that wasn't meant to happen, although clearly it was part of the plan. Because during all of this fracas, the same guy then used his camera to hit Luchasaurus right in the head. He fell back into the ring. He got spike pile drived before, in another, well, I didn't think I'd see that in 2021, Tully Blanchard pinned Luchasaurus. Just in case that wasn't enough, we weren't playing around here, because the cameraman then got into the squared circle, he took off his hood, and of course it was Shawn Spears, and almost instantly, everybody and their mother was just flashing the Four Horsemen sign, including Arn Anderson, who came out of the good guy tunnel and went swang, and he flashed it too. What the hell is going on? And I've no idea how new fans may have taken this, but it is a massive thumbs up for me. I felt like I was 1 year old again, whoever the hell I was, when this was going down. And also, when it comes to Anderson, whose side is he on? I don't think Cody Rhodes is going to be very happy about this, but maybe he's involved too. Seriously though, this was just another great match, and there was so much to dive into and talk about afterwards. And as I have said time and time again, that's all I want from my wrestling. Paul Wight then came out onto the stage. All right, it was nice to see him, especially because the first thing he did was made a joke about how often he goes face to heel to face, and then face to heel, and heel to face, because he was like, hey, who saw that turn coming? And then probably did have about 72,000 more turns. He just has a good energy about him though, and he's super excited to be in AEW and to be a commentator. But he does have one last announcement, and that is that at the pay-per-view on this Sunday, he is going to introduce All Elite Wrestling's brand new signee that is, wait for it, a Hall of Fame worthy wrestler. So straight away my brain went nuts. I didn't really come up with very good options. I mean, at first I thought maybe it could be me if they'd been talking to my mother, because she would definitely describe me as a Hall of Fame worthy wrestler, bless her. She's such a nice person. But I guess it could be Kurt Angle, it could be Christian, it could be RVD. You have the stupid answers like John Cena, The Rock, and Brock Lesnar. Those three are never gonna happen. But that's the point of this. They want you to start going, well, who's it gonna be? So let's start asking the question. This Dynamite kept leveling up too, because it was in the finals of our women's tournament, and pretty much this entire thing has been absolutely taboo. It also just gave us a match that I never thought we'd see, because it was Nyla Rose taking on Ryu Mizunami. And she's someone I'm only just getting acquainted with. I mean, I know she's done stuff with AEW before, but you don't have to know every single wrestler in the world to call yourself a wrestling fan. In fact, that's why this tournament has been so good. It introduces you to new competitors, and then you can just decide who you do like and who you do not like. Vicky Guerrero was also back in Rose's corner. I would assume to give you the impression that, oh my gosh, Nyla's going to win. But it's not like she needed Vicky in the early going. She was using her power, and she was using her size, and she was just flattening Rio. It was pretty damn devastating. Cheetah was also shown watching on from ringside like a normal person, and I think at that stage, Mizunami just decided, man, I'm bored of being whooped, because she just lit the place up. Tackled Nyla out the ring before giving her a leg drop on the apron, which had allowed her to win previous matches. Honestly, Nyla Rose only got back in there about 9.9, and I did have a little chuckle to myself. Imagine this had ended in a count-out. The world would have melted down. They then just started to blast each other with shots as Vicky Guerrero on the outside just went and started to do that screaming thing she did. And after Rose had hit a superplex, I honestly said, well, that's got to be it. And the commentators agreed, and all of us were morons because all of us were wrong. Because Mizunami just rolled through, she hit a German suplex, she hit a spear, and she finished it off with a guillotine leg drop, and she is officially the winner of this tournament. And once again, I didn't see it coming. She did get a trophy for her efforts, and of course will have a shot at the title on pay-per-view. And when she was in the ring with Shida afterwards, they just started punching each other in the face like they were old friends, and this is what they do when they meet up to have drinks. It was like, ha ha ha, ha, it's such a ha 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 ha. These two are crazy. I don't really know what the end game to all of this is. Like, are we actually going to change the championship? But I do know it was a very good match. The sheer evolution with these Sting segments too. Do you remember we were saying, man, all Sting does, he comes out, he talks, then he goes away again. Well, we ain't in Kansas anymore, Chief. It's gig it up. And we kind of took everything that we had done so far and pushed it into one, because Tony Schiavone did kick things off by interviewing Sting, who just said, man, I can't wait for the pay-per-view, I'm gonna run wild, the Stinger is back. Thought it was a really good promo. It was also the powerbomb by Brian Cage that woke him up and realized, man, I need to get back to what I used to do, when out came Ricky Starks to tell him some truths. One, he has been very impressed with what Sting has been doing recently, but he's not an icon. And then he took his hand and he slapped Sting right around the face. And honestly, Rick, what the hell were you doing? That was a stupid move. Because Sting went crazy and hit the Stinger Splash as well as applying the Scorpion Deathlock, and my word did I enjoy seeing that, before Team Taz poured out from the back until Darby Allin realized, uh-oh, I think my dad is in trouble, and he came out to make a save. I mean, he just jumped on Brian Cage's back and tried to choke him out. It then allowed Sting to hit another Stinger Splash on Brian Cage, and Darby Allin drop-kicked him out the ring. And all I need to say is this: if the idea of a build is to get me excited to watch a match at the Big Show, then that's exactly what we've done here. And I want Sting to kick everybody's ass, and then I want him to become the world champion. I mean, I don't, because Twitter wouldn't be able to handle it, but flippin' hell, for a 61-year-old dude, Sting is just the best. And honestly, man, I know I keep saying it, but this Dynamite just didn't have any holes in it, because then it was 10 from the Dark Order taking on Max Caster to decide who's gonna be in the Revolution ladder match. Caster also did this brilliant rap, I don't even care. There is no more, oh, he's just like John Cena, he has made it his own, and it's getting it up. We had an interesting story here too, because Scorpio Sky, who's also going to be in that ladder match, joined commentary, and we haven't heard from him for a while, but I think he may have turned to the dark side. Because he wasn't his usual happy, chirpy self, he was super arrogant, and he was super confident, and he spent most of this going, I'm better than that guy, I'm better than this guy, this moron doesn't know what he's doing, and oh, by the way, very soon, I'm gonna be TNT champion. I dug it, especially because now he can win that ladder match, and he can feud with Darby Allin, who is a good guy. This is just connecting the dots. My favorite thing about all of this, though, is that we did have two up-and-coming guys here, and we gave them plenty of time to showcase what they can do. And do you know what 10 from the Dark Order did as soon as the bell rang? He went for the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, which proves to me he's watching wrestling, he's learning. Now, unfortunately, in this circumstance, it didn't work. I've got my eye on him down the line. From there, it was just solid action, and I really did enjoy myself here, but we should have known what it was going to tie into, given that 10 is from the Dark Order. I mean, he had this whole thing won after a power bomb, but Max was able to get his foot on the ropes, when all of a sudden, from under the ring, came Jack Evans, and he twonked 10 right in the head with that boombox, allowed Max Caster to pin him, so he's now going into the ladder match, but he was a bit like, I don't really know what's happened, but I'll take it. And of course, this was all down to Matt Hardy, who walked out here with an envelope that said like £72 million and gave it to Jack Evans because he promised last week, I'm gonna take the Dark Order down. So now he's taking the Dark Order down. Hardy was over the moon about this too, and I just want to say that this brand new character that he has stumbled across is the best one that he has done in AEW so far. he comes across like such an unlikable jackass, which is exactly the point. It also did set up our main event straight away, which was going to be Matt Hardy teaming up with Marq Quen to take on Hangman Adam Page and John Silver, although just before that, we did have a promo with Miro who simply said, "Come Revolution, I am going to destroy everyone." Then he went, "Game over," and he shouted for a bit. And that's what we need to do. Miro should beat up Orange Cassidy, Miro should beat up Chuck Taylor, Miro should beat up Kip Sabian, and he should just become a decimating machine. Thank you. Anyway, back to this main event. Once again, I thought Matt Hardy kind of stole the show here because he is just such a moron. Like, he never wanted to get in the ring when he thought he was going to be able to be beaten up. He always got in the ring when Marq Quen had done all the work. And really, if you want to break it right down, Marq Quen afterwards should have been like, "Matt, what were you doing? You were meant to be my friend." This was basically a 2-on-1 handicap match. And it basically was. I mean, even early on, Matt was trying to get the advantage by doing cheap sets on John Silver and almost throwing him into Hangman Adam Page. I mean, the cowboy had to stop himself at the last second. And the sheer chemistry between Silver and Hangman Page is actually really good. Like, I don't know if this is going to end with Hangman Adam Page being the leader of the Dark Order, but even if it's not, there should always be some kind of relationship between these two. They're just so fun to watch. It is getting it up. Matt Hardy properly threw his toys out the pram before the end and refused to tag in. And he also refused to help Marq Quen after he got hit with the buckshot lariat. And of course, that meant it was the 1, 2, 3. But we have to bring it back down. There it is, the post-match brawl bar thing, whatever the hell I called it. Mark it up to 2, because all this did end, but I'm not going to lie to you, a pretty damn good post-match brawl. Because straight afterwards, Matt Hardy did jump Hangman Page and he started hitting him with the microphone because he was so pissed off, when all of a sudden the floodgates opened again, and not only was the entire Dark Order out here, but every single team I think that's also going to be in that Battle Royal, the tag team one, they were out here too. And it ended with PAC and Fenix, who are better than all of them because they got entrance music getting involved as well. I just like this visual. I do. There must have been about, 78,000 people in the ring, and it got me excited for what I was about to see on Sunday. I am a very simple man. That is how Dynamite went off air as well, and you've already seen from the counters, which is going to just send everybody crazy, but it was a brilliant show. It may actually have been my favorite Dynamite to date. I'm going to have to sit down and work the numbers and do my admin, but I was entertained from second one until it ended after 2 hours, so obviously overall, it's getting it up. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and get mad at me, and also let us know what you thought about last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles, follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE, and you're already on YouTube. Why don't you watch some more videos? My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you for joining me as always, and of course, we'll be back on Monday, because the pay-per-view is Sunday, to up those downs for AEW Revolution.